Good evening, Hub Nation, and welcome to another episode of the 5 Elements of Success Player Development Series. My name is Tyler Campbell. I am the Director of Performance here at the Golf Performance Center. I'm your host tonight, filling in for Roger Nick, our founder, who couldn't make it this evening. He's doing a little traveling, so we're excited to keep the show rolling for you this evening. I'm joined by our clinical psychologist, Dr. Josh Brandt, and Director of Coaching, Dennis Hillman. And we're excited to have Rick Dowling, Director of Customer Success at the Junior Golf Hub, on the show this evening as we're talking the pressure is on, how to deal with the recruitment process, as so many of you have the goal of playing college golf. So we're excited about the show this evening. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please fill them in the comment or chat box on YouTube, or send an email to the 5 Elements of Success, or 5 Elements at thegolfperformancecenter.com. If you have 10 minutes, we would like you to fill out the Pdi Self-Assessment on the Junior Golf Hub profile. If you haven't created a profile yet, go ahead and sign up. We're going to be talking a lot about the tool tonight and how you can use it to help manage your collegiate recruitment process. But the Pdi Self-Assessment is going to be the first step in your journey there. We'd also like to promote the College Prep Series event this June 11th to the 13th. We're excited to be hosting our third College Prep Series. This is a great 3-day event where we get a small group of athletes seeking to play college golf in a combine-like environment, right, Dennis, where we're really trying to give you the opportunity to showcase your golf skills, your physical skills in front of some college coaches, in addition to learning more about the recruiting process and maybe firsthand from the college coach what they're looking for both in the athlete and maybe how they handle some of their programs. So.
Yeah, really a great couple days just to kind of see where you are in your development, see where you fit into the recruiting process, and to hear from those college coaches directly and answer those questions that you might have. So great couple days, yeah.
I love it. Pop quiz tonight. What is the most effective tool to manage the pressure of the recruiting process? The winner of the pop quiz is going to earn a Junior Golf Hub college checklist, which is one very good tool. I don't know
Absolutely.
if it's the tool that we're going to be referring to tonight. You got to keep watching to learn what we're going to be revealing there. But again, what is the most effective tool to manage the pressures of the recruiting process?
All right.
Excellent. Dennis, what did we have last time we were on the show?
Yeah, so it was a couple weeks ago. Last week was a week off. We were all traveling. But 2 weeks ago, Roger, Tyler, and Stephanie talked about the Masters. It was Masters Thursday. Always a great day of the year, kicking off the Masters and being able to watch that. They actually took you through the golf course, took you through some course management and how to approach all those different holes, those incredible, majestic, hilly holes at Augusta National. But just want to say congrats to Hideki Matsuyama. Incredible performance with all that pressure of a nation. Japan, all of Japan, never having had a major champion from Japan, and coming through on Sunday and closing the deal. So congrats to him for great performance.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I have to imagine that he was probably feeling a little bit of pressure throughout his career. He's still a relatively young guy, but to get that weight off his shoulders, I'm sure over the course of his career he's had to learn how to manage some of that stress and some of those pressures. Like you said, the weight of a nation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's tough. I mean, he's definitely one of the best ball strikers on tour statistically, and he really showed that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
it can kind of humble us a little bit too as we think about the recruiting process. Imagine having to just deal with getting into college, right, versus Hideki Matsuyama, who's got to deal with satisfying and being making a country proud.
Sure,
so,
absolutely.
So one of the things we'll get into a little bit later is how to manage that, how to manage perspective and pressure.
No, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Very good. Well, without further ado, let's bring on Rick Dowling. Rick Dowling, again, customer success leader at the Junior Golf Hub. Rick, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We got you. Yeah, we can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hope there's not too much background noise.
No, we're all good. We're all good.
Keep your eyes on the road.
There you go. So, Rick, I want to start off by just again, kind of recapping your recruiting process. Obviously, you played college golf. Give us a little history, about your experience and just what you felt as you went through the recruiting process from junior golf to college.
Yeah, so I ended up playing college golf at Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut. It's a D1 school, probably on the smaller side, D1 school. And the couple of things I like to share about my recruiting journey, it's very different than what I see every day now with all the athletes that we deal with, and the parents and the families. I was late to golf, and for example, I didn't even know about junior golf tournaments in the state of Connecticut when I was a junior in high school. I didn't even know college golf existed until like junior year of high school. So it was almost as if I didn't have the pressure. The only thing that I really was focusing on, that I had this passion for this sport, and I wanted to, I'm really competitive. I wanted to get better.
Right.
And the other thing is my parents were totally uninvolved with me getting to tournaments, me setting up coaching, and I worked at a golf course. Was lucky enough to get instruction from the head professional at that course, but I was totally on my own, making my own way. Of course, they helped me with things like the FAFSA and making college decisions and applying and all that. But my recruiting process was much different than what people are experiencing these days.
I think that's great. It's really cool to hear that you had the autonomy and the ownership, but what was driving that more than anything was, that intrinsic fire, that passion and love for the game. And, we had a family education night last night for the juniors in our academy here. And, we talked so much about how, when that is flipped, when if the passion and the fuel and the desire, that's meant to lead you to your goal. But if all of a sudden the goal, comes first, and you're playing this game with a timeline, which we'll get to again a little later on in the show, the all of a sudden that passion goes down the drain. You're playing it sort of for the wrong reasons, and it can kind of, douse your flame, if you will.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's great to hear your experience, Rick. I think mine was similar in certain ways, but I think you had that freedom to really just develop as a player and follow your passion, which I think is really ultimately what we're all trying to help our athletes out there, in our academy and out there, all the hub members out there understand is that that's what it's really about, is following your passion.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you, and I'll ask this to both you and Rick. I know, Dennis, you're going to talk a little bit about your own experience through the recruitment process too. But Rick, I'll ask you first. What was it, and kind of in the spirit of if you knew then what you know now, what advice might you have? You obviously have a lot of experience working at the hub, but what advice might you have, given what you went through, that we could offer to the kind of the hub members and everybody listening that might help them better navigate the process of recruitment?
Yeah, I think relative to my experience, if I had aligned myself with a group of coaches and peers that were aware of opportunities, whether it comes to tournaments and the next level, and there was a pathway in golf, I might have been more apt to get into resources and have more experiences on the tournament front. I honestly think about it if I was more aware, would that have changed what I ended up doing? If I had known about college golf freshman year and I quit all these other sports, would I have been better off? I think about that a lot. But for the families now, I think it's important to take my story and try to promote that with their kids. Let them take ownership of it. College golf is not a means to an end. It's really about continuing a passion, like Tyler was saying.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that. So how was your recruiting process different, Dennis?
Yeah, so obviously going back to a little bit of a different era. So I think I benefited from that. I don't think there were the same stresses that some of our juniors out there are going through today with recruiting maybe starting a little bit younger. So I played at Tulsa University, Division I, a small school, small program. We kept 8 members on the team, so it worked out great for me. But the process for me again was I was just following a passion. I wanted to play the PGA Tour. I wanted to be the best player in the world. So for me, college golf was one step on that path to my ultimate goal. It was not my end goal. So I think that helped me kind of look at it from a long-term perspective, and I just kept focusing on, trying to get better. And I hadn't done anything to get noticed until about 4 or 5 weeks before I started my senior year of high school. So, for me, it really was just my main focus was, I had a good coach. My father was very involved in it. But I was just trying to get better, and I didn't worry about it as much. And I really wish, kind of like Rick's situation, which was a little bit different, but I hope our juniors can really understand that that's what we're trying to help you guys get to is to really follow that passion.
Now, Rick, I've got a follow-up question for you because we know, obviously we're very proud of the Junior Golf Hub and the tool that it's become. Give me some insight into, how exactly the hub can help alleviate some of the stresses specifically to the juniors in this era.
Yeah, that's a good question. As many listeners and you guys know, there's a lot of other components that go into a successful journey. So we try to arm the family with one space that contains the knowledge, the process, our game planning ability, as well as the tools to execute on both of those things, so that the other little pressures add up to one big pressure are kind of things like setting a tournament schedule and organizing that, understanding what the next step is if I'm a freshman or a sophomore relative to the recruiting journey. How do I market myself? Where do I put all of my tournament schedules, the results, my swing videos, all that stuff? So we try to alleviate the small pressures so that the family can really focus on setting up this junior golfer for success with a plan and focusing on the golf and the academics.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. All right, that's phenomenal. And I think, again, if I was a junior golfer, if nothing else, it sounds like it's going to keep me organized and on track, especially with something like the college checklist, which we're giving away today to the pop quiz winner. Something like that's going to allow me to reflect and say, am I doing the right things at the right times, right?
The player development index, two things that really keep you in check from 7th, 8th grade through high school years and even into college.
Yep. Very good.
Awesome.
Very good. Now, Dr. Brandt, from a psychological perspective, so we've got two college athletes who just chimed in, who have lived it. From the psychological standpoint, what types of things are we looking at with regards to managing stress and the pressures that might come with this transition of life, or this decision that these athletes need to make?
Yeah, for sure. I know if you look up on the screen, you'll see a quote from Alcoholics Anonymous, and you might be wondering why are we putting up an Alcoholics Anonymous quote when we're having a conversation about recruitment to college golf. But I really appreciate good quotes, and I think this is a great for any big transitional moment in life, or really any stressor, right? Whenever we're stressed or anxious or overwhelmed, it's often because we're feeling out of control over our situation or our environment. And this quote is brilliant, right? So, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, this is so important, right? What can I control and what can't I control? Because when you focus on the things that you can control, it gives you a sense of agency in your life. It starts to allow you the opportunity to make progress, to see change. And I think one of the great things about the Junior Golf Hub, by the way, if we want to know what the answer to the pop quiz, do you mind if I say it?
Go ahead. Give it away.
I mean, I can't think of a better way to help manage the pressure of the college recruitment process other than using the Junior Golf Hub. And it's amazing, and it's so genuine in its effort, to, as Rick was just saying, to help junior golfers and families work through the pressures so they can really focus on the things that matter and get control over the situation so they can feel less anxious. And the Junior Golf Hub checklist, which you can also see up on your screen now too, is it really walks you through step by step. So rather than having to figure it out on your own, we've created this amazing experience where it literally walks you through. And one of the neat things psychologically about going through a process, especially any checklist, is that every time you check something off, again, you feel a sense of purpose. You feel a sense of empowerment, like you're proceeding towards your goal. And just the action of checking it off. And I love that we've designed this in a way that you actually can check these processes off, because it can really make a profound difference in alleviating the pressure, but also helping getting you more efficiently towards your goal.
No, I love it. Yeah, that's phenomenal. And again, this could be a life lesson in things other than the college recruiting process in terms of working towards goals. And,
For sure.
And we talked about SMART goals in the past and what things do I need to be checking off in anything that I'm trying to achieve in life. But
yeah, absolutely. So I think what you're saying, psychologically, when you start to feel anxiety, a lot of times you're overwhelmed with something, or you may not even understand what it is that's creating that anxiety.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
a
have
loss
this,
of control. You don't know what's happening. Yeah.
You have this big goal, and there are certain steps that need to be taken, and you're not sure what they are, and you're not actually taking action, right? And so there's this anxiety being created. So that's fantastic that this list really has everything, the steps you need to be taking on the recruiting side, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think on the development side as well, we have these series of assessments you can take to really understand where you are, because we know that it's not just reaching out, connecting to coaches. It's you actually have to get your game to that level. So we have these markers so that you can actually kind of check those boxes. Am I getting to where I need to be athletically? Am I getting my golf skills to where they need to be? And then obviously the scoring average in tournament performances. So
now you've guided a bunch of athletes through this college process at this point. Where do you see most athletes getting, feeling the most pressure or maybe feeling the most stressed? At what point in the junior athlete's career, and this is obviously not a black and white answer by any means, but at what point are you seeing that trend where you're seeing that pressure start to build, and maybe that goal changes the passion, that passion goal?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think obviously Dr. Brand has been in education. He could talk to this. I think it's really that junior year. I think I think for athletes and non-athletes, the junior year really hits them hard academically, and I think as far as that back to that golf with a timeline mentality. We know golf's hard, and you can't microwave development. We talked about last night, but when you start putting that time pressure onto the golf side junior year, because you only have 1 year of tournaments to actually get noticed and get recruited, I think golf becomes hard. So you kind of can't make it fit into the box that you want it to necessarily. I think you may have to think outside the box and understand where you are, identify strengths and weaknesses, and say, all right, I'm doing everything I can. Maybe it's going to take another year. Maybe it is a gap year. So I think that junior year can really be tough.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I mean, I think that the junior year is a natural pressure point. Again, whether you're being recruited for sports or not, right? Society, you're in high school. There's an expectation. Obviously, that can change depending on your goals, whether to go on to college or not. But there is that natural kind of societal pressure that happens there around that point.
I think one thing when you talk about thinking outside the box, and obviously 2020 and dealing with the pandemic and everything, how that's affected the recruiting process and eligibility of athletes and current spots that are available on teams and things. I think now more than ever that gap year is a realistic option. It's always been a realistic option, but I would say it's something that kids should be considering more than ever to really develop their golf skills, but give themselves a little more breathing room.
No question. I mean, there's no question that the crazy world we're in with COVID has affected a lot of programs out there. It's become more competitive, and so I think a gap year can really be beneficial if you have a good plan, and if you're someone that is really going to be motivated to take advantage and really improve your game and improve your standing and ability to get recruited. And again, back to just following your passion. But I think it can really pay off.
I love it. Now, Dr. Brandt, you talk about taking advantage of opportunities.
Yep.
So you get yourself, we're striving for this goal. We're striving for this goal. You've got another quote you want to share with us with regards to how to handle it maybe once we get there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, it's so easy to kind of get caught up in all of the kind of the expectation, the drama of recruitment, having to go to to play in tournaments, to lower your scoring average, to feel the pressure from parents, to make sure that you're presenting yourself in a way to coaches, and really what gets lost in that often, and we kind of alluded to it already, is the passion. And I like having worked in education for a long time. I get it, and I can really see why we get caught up in that. But I also know from experience that, and you can see the quote up on the board, and I give myself credit for it. I think I made it up.
There you go. I'll give you credit.
If I didn't, I'm going to claim credit for it as well. but it's not where you go, right? It's what you do when you get there. Like, should you try to give yourself as many options as possible going through this process? Absolutely. But in the end, whether you go to a D3 school or a D1 school, your opportunity to be great, pursue your passion, maybe be number one in the world, or be the Division III player of the year, or the player of the year in the country, or win the USAM, or whatever it might be. That still is up to you.
Sure.
So whatever happens as a result of that recruitment process, really you're still in control.
Yeah.
It sometimes doesn't feel that way, but you're still in control. So again, it's not where you go. Ultimately, in the end, it's what you do when you get there.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. I think it's also important to understand where these athletes are emotionally, and they are still developing the ability to manage exactly what we're talking about. This isn't something. This is something that adults are dealing with every day as well. But we're talking about high school aged athletes and managing stress and managing pressures, and we're talking about golf, but they're getting it socially, they're getting it academically. Sure. This is just one more thing added to the list, and I think it's important to understand that developmentally, we need to support the athletes and make sure that they've got they know they have the system around them to help them get through these things. And as overwhelming as it can be at times, they've always got that arm that's reaching out to help if they need it. I think that's an important part.
And one of the reasons I was drawn to GPC to begin with is that by design we've made that process more efficient, less stressful.
Right.
So you don't we take the pressure off of you. Whether it's helping you through the recruitment process formally and with the hub, or even through physical development. Like we're really helping guide you on working on the things that make the most difference.
Sure.
So that you really can focus on your passion, so you don't have to get caught up in all the other external stressors. So totally agree with you, Tyler. Cool.
Yeah, I think this quote is awesome, and I think it's a really key thing to understand as far as alleviating that pressure. If you look at the best players in the world, there's a lot of different ways that they got there, different schools they played for or didn't go to college. And again, if that's not your goal, if you have goals at the college level, there are different ways to get to those goals too, and certainly individually, as Dr. Brand said. I mean, there's so many great programs out there, great facilities, great opportunities to play against good competition. So when you really look at it more closely, I mean, you can make it happen from, I would say, pretty much anywhere.
For sure.
Yeah. Keep pushing a rock, as they say, right?
That's it.
I love it.
Yeah, no question.
Awesome. Well, what do you say we get to some questions?
Sure.
Any questions, Mike?
Yep, we have a couple questions. So first one, I'm graduating in May. I've talked to a lot of coaches but haven't heard back. Am I being ghosted?
I love it. I love the honesty behind that question. That's great. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's probably a question a lot of kids would ask. It's back to again the world we're in with COVID. It's more competitive. Programs have been fighting to keep their programs alive. Spots are limited. So I think again back to pushing that rock. You got to keep developing. We've got a whole season ahead. You got to get your tournament schedule ready. Give yourself a lot of opportunities, because that's what they are, and make sure you've gone through everything on that checklist. And if you've done all that, you can kind of see how it plays out this year, and then if it does not work out by the fall, you find Plan B and find another route.
Rick, are you still with us?
No.
He's not with us?
Oh.
All right.
We lost Rick. All good.
All right. I had a hub question, but we'll save it for another time.
All right. Good deal. Excellent. Any other questions, Mike?
Yep, we got one more. If your game isn't quite good enough, is there a realistic avenue to take a year after high school to work on it before starting college?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's
the gap year. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it's in golf, it's still one of the most underused things. I think it really started in other sports where, football and hockey were young boys had to develop into men because it was such an advantage. But, golf is just a long-term thing to develop the skill. So I think it's really underutilized, and I think it can really help.
Let's elaborate on the gap year just a little bit. Paint a picture for me for what a perfect gap year might look like.
Yeah, it might not be the same for everybody. I think we look at it as gap year or post-grad year. Do you want to have some academics involved, some type of enrichment side of it? I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. But the idea is you're taking a year to really develop your golf game, where you're going to have more time than you do right now to put into that. And as far as, again, your ability to go play at a certain program or group of programs that you're looking at, you're going to, improve your standing relative to other players because you're going to take advantage of that year and that time you have. So you can do it with no academics, or you can have some sort of academic side if you do a post-grad year somewhere.
And I want to just plug gap years too, even aside from golf. I think it's an underutilized opportunity as well. I can't tell you how many kids I talk to outside of golf who don't really know why they're headed off to college yet. So I think gap years can be great just psychologically to make sure that you're pretty clear on your next step. But even put that same logic to golf too, is that if you're not sure, your game's not quite there, why not take a year to really focus in on it, to really set yourself up so you're certain about that next path.
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. There are a lot of scenarios where somebody doesn't take a gap year, they actually do get recruited to go somewhere, but it doesn't work out. And there's so many times that somebody goes somewhere for a year and it just wasn't the right fit. So I think taking advantage of that and really getting some clarity, that's awesome.
Yep.
Very good. Any other questions, Mike?
Yep, we actually have one more question.
One more, great.
How do you advance communication with coaches from just emailing to more serious conversations?
Yeah, great question. So, I think there's a couple things. There's obviously developing your game. There's no way around that right there, developing your game and shooting scores. So tournament schedule, have enough opportunities so that you can get noticed. Be persistent. I'd say handwritten notes is a big one we push. Handwritten notes are, especially from my generation and Dr. Brandt's generation, is really appreciated more than the emails. So handwritten notes are huge, go a long way, and just being really, really persistent on trying to knock down those doors.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, there's certain times where you can send letters and send notes, but having that verbal conversation or even an in-person visit. But I would take the initiative and prompt it and say, hey, coach, maybe in a handwritten letter, I'd love the opportunity to speak with you in person and really be able to show my personality and tell you a little about who I am as a person and why I'd be a great fit for your program. I think, again, that's just grabbing the bull by the horns and letting them know you're there.
Yeah, awesome.
And I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong with this, that make sure your hub profile, if you aren't a hub member, right, become a hub member, but make sure your hub profile is as complete as possible because, more and more college coaches are going there. So, right, they want to see those complete profiles. Sure. They want to be able to answer questions about the kids that they're recruiting with minimal kind of need for communication. And one of the great things about the hub is that it's all there. So the more complete your profile can be, the more attractive you might be to a college coach as well. So make sure your profile is as complete as it can be.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Do we have a pop quiz winner?
Our winner this week is Trevor Hislop.
Trevor Hislop. Nice. Thank you, Trevor, for tuning in. We'll get you that college checklist. Make sure you're doing the right things. Excellent. Very good. All right, so that does it for this week, this week's episode. Again, we want to just thank the Junior Golf Hub for all of their support, and obviously that was the answer to our pop quiz question tonight. So be sure to download that app, get the app in your pocket, connect with those college coaches, and make sure, as Dr. Brandt just said, your profile is filled out completely. The first step on that on the Junior Golf Hub is to complete that self-assessment. It only takes a few minutes, so be sure to go ahead and do that. We would like to thank our sponsors, Ethan Allen Preparatory, achieving your greatness in the classroom, on the golf course, and in life. Again, like to thank Dennis and Dr. Brandt and Rick for joining us this evening. We'll see everybody next week. Enjoy the journey and get after it.